Welcome back to another episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast, the number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business. This is episode 143, and we are back.
You're very delayed,
episode.
sir.
I'm excited to be here.
I don't know how that happened. You were perfect a minute ago, and then it's like a foreign film where they're dubbing over. It looks like you're speaking a different language. We are back. We are back. Episode 143. Give it a test.
43.
There he is. We got him.
All right. It's great to be back, everybody. I wanted to start the show off today by giving a shout out to Glenn for holding down the fort on the show last week. I did not miss an episode. I was force feeding a child. Just kidding. Not really. Not really. I don't need anyone coming after me from social services and playing them in the background. That's what was going on last week.
You're worried about CMS. Now here comes CPS. There's always some 3-letter government agency, as we know, is always pursuing Christian.
No, it's great to be back on this Tuesday. For those of you that didn't get the message, though, we're going to be changing up the podcast schedule on the interim, not permanently, but just for a little while. Instead of Mondays through Thursdays on the live broadcast, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to 10, it's now going to be Tuesday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to 10:15. So a little bit of a shortened show, 45 minutes instead of an hour. And also starting about 30 minutes later than normal on the interim, though, not permanently. So excited to be back. We got a jam-packed show for you today. And where should we begin, Mr. Shelton?
Well, and I mentioned this yesterday, and I really want to talk about this for a minute because it's part of the show's title, the name of the show, and also the name of the group. I'm wearing the shirt. You've got the hat. Seven-figure Medicare agent. You know, this came up in the Seven Figure Medicare Agent Facebook group. I feel like what's needed is a brief explanation as the founder of this movement, of this, it almost feels like a religious movement at times. You're like our cult leader. So I want to turn to you and ask, the founding of this and choosing the name originally, right? Originally, it was Six Figure Medicare Agent. That it started as a Facebook group, then it became a Facebook group and an event. Mm-hmm. Now it's this massive community. Seven Figure Medicare Agent podcast is a part of it. We have sevenfigure.com. What was the original thoughts behind picking that name? And for some agents out there, they love it. They're here for it. Other agents, it seems like it rubs them the wrong way a little bit. The deep state, the deep insurance state has their own thoughts and opinions on the name you chose. I think it'd be very applicable for you to just take a minute and share some of your original thoughts on why you went with the name that you did.
Yeah, well, I love starting the show off with that line of conversation. It's very interesting to me. I definitely saw some of the chatter about it as well as you did in the Facebook group as of recently. People have asked that question before. Two-part question really. Number one is like the name of the Facebook group, the name of the movement is Seven Figure Medicare Agent. Started, like you said, it's Six Figure Medicare Agent. Is there anyone actually making that type of revenue in this business? And then secondly, why did we name the group that? Why did we name the movement that? Does that not put a target on our backs from the powers that be? And so my initial thoughts on it, going back to the beginning, right? The Facebook group was started in 2020, but the name was actually first chosen for the YouTube channel. Most people don't know that. So the YouTube channel...
see?
The YouTube channel...
I'm learning.
YouTube channel was started December 2019. Whereas the Facebook group started January 2020. So the Facebook group was started with the same name as the YouTube channel to kind of mirror it. And point blank, right? Like it started at Six Figure Medicare Agent, very much a doable target for an agent to actually hit, right? 6-figure Medicare agent. I
Yeah.
felt like it was two-part in terms of the thought process behind it. I thought the first one was it would be a motivating type of thing for agents to be able to understand that, hey, if you work hard, if you implement good business strategies, if you if you're willing to take risks, if you'll really try to grow your business in a real way, but you'll also really work hard and try to put up really large numbers of production in the process, that great things can happen. That was kind of the message. But also, I've never shied away from being polarizing and being controversial. I've always kind of liked that a little bit. I've always felt like that as long as I'm towing the line and not going too far with it, it works in my favor, opposed to the
Yeah.
contrary. And so I was certainly trying to be a little bit polarizing. There's no doubt about it. And then a couple of years into the group, it just kind of, of course, at the size of the business had become on our end as well, the insurance
Right.
agency, it was like, it almost seemed fitting to upgrade it to 7-figure Medicare agent because that was better, a representation of where our business was at that point in time. And so that's kind of the thought process behind it, but it definitely is a polarizing name. I remember it might have been pre-merger. I'm trying to remember. It might have been the first year we changed the name to 7-figure Medicare, but there was an article that was written that mentioned insurance events, but it was like from a non-industry specific article. And it mentioned 7-figure Medicare agent. It said something like there's even an event called 7-figure Medicare agent where agents can come and learn how to build their businesses. I remember at the time I found it so amusing because someone sent it to me. Someone sent me a screenshot of it. They're like, wow, like the Facebook group got mentioned or the event got mentioned in an article, and I posted it in the group. And, that at that point in time, this was several years ago, it brought up a lot of discussion about like, is this the wrong type of attention that we as agents want to be getting?
Right.
And I've had lots of people in the industry tell me, you're going to put a target on your back. You're putting a target on the back of agents and everything like that. My whole thought process is, to me, that the name of the group and the name of the movement is, you should be trying to strive to build the best, most efficient, and biggest business that you can. And there's obviously a target to that. There's obviously a representation of that. And so that's where 7-figure Medicare agent, to me, comes from. I think that should be the goal. And people say, there's no such thing as a 7-figure individual agent. I saw that talked about a lot, right?
Yes.
There's a 7-figure insurance agency.
Yes.
That
was part 2 to this.
Yeah.
Sure. I wanted to talk about that specifically because that's a big point of this that people latch on to.
My response to that is, I don't want to be a one-man show doing everything myself, wearing 20 hats. I don't want to do that. I want to build an agency. Yeah. And so for anybody that's using that as a knock, like, you don't understand that the point of the group and the point of the training that I've tried to present all along is build a business. Don't just become a successful insurance salesman. Build a real business around what you're doing. And that's the only way you're going to thrive and survive long term. So certainly, yeah, I want you to build an agency. I don't want you to just be a single one-man show agent. I've preached against that, as have you, for years.
For sure.
That is not what I think anybody should want to do. I think you should try to build a real business with people around you, right? Like, I don't think you should be the weirdo in your garage by yourself forever.
And I don't want to demonize solo producers because
me neither. I'm not trying to do that.
Well, no, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate because the flip side is sometimes it's hard for me to take you seriously. If you are an independent producer, if you come to me and you tell me you have 1,000 clients and that you're spending 40 hours a week doing customer service and you're losing your mind and you don't know what to do, it feels almost immature to some degree. But that being said, everyone does it themselves. So the reality is, like, everyone has their own vision of how they want to operate as an agent, as an agency. The part of this question, though, is nobody can do 7 figures as a solo producer. That's also not true. There are people doing that. Even if I don't agree with that strategy, you don't have to build an agency. You could literally build $1 million book of business or bigger on your own pen. I've seen it done. It's not the most likely thing to happen or the easiest thing to happen, but I've seen it done. So we know that's true. We know creating a 7-figure agency is real. There's many, we're just one example of many agencies. There's many agencies even much bigger than us that are here inside the group, which is always funny. Yeah, which is always funny to me when that question pops up. Is anyone actually earning 7 figures? Because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, there's people like in the 9-figure range here in this group. I'm like, 7 figures is what? Like, what is that? Like, you know, there's people who could potentially be billionaires before they die here in this group. Like, that's a real thing. We know this. But the thing that I love about the name, and that's always attracted me to this, is I've said this before, but my introduction to Medicare was that there is no money in Medicare. That's what I was told. So this, to me, the brand, the name really represents the truth, is that you can make a great living selling Medicare. You can make a lot of money building an agency. These are all very real, feasible things, and it says it right there in the name. The other thing, too, this is my last thing I'll say, is like, even if you're the agency owner and you're not selling all the policies yourself, there's still a Medicare agent behind the agency. You're still the 7-figure Medicare agent behind the agency. That's the other thing that always bothers me with that fight, is like, well, isn't it an agency, not an agent? There's still an agent at the top. Who's the principal? Somebody's the principal at the agency. That's a 7-figure Medicare agent, even if you're not writing all the policies yourself.
Totally. You know? And I feel like you hit it right on the head, right? Like, there are people that are one-man shows that build businesses themselves, producing huge amounts of business as a solo producer. Is it a high percentage of people? No, it's a very small percentage of people that do it that way. But yeah, it's almost like it's used at times as like a gotcha moment, you know, like, oh, you run an agency. Ha, gotcha.
Yes.
You're not doing everything. Gotcha. You know, it's like, it's
last
exposed.
Last week, that was in the group. People were doing that. Like, oh, no, you got a bunch of people helping you.
Gotcha.
You're not a 7-figure agent. Like, it's crazy. I was like, who cares? Like, what are you saying?
They have a staff.
it's like
ooh, burn. You got me. I give up.
They're operating a business.
They're not taking customer service calls at 8:00 at night.
It's literally, they're virtue signaling that the purist of being a solo producer and doing it all yourself, like, that's at the top. Like, yeah, you could have $100 million business, but imagine doing it all yourself. I'm not kidding. Like, that's literally how it is. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Like, what are you saying? Like, what are we saying here? Like, why would you want to do it all yourself? I just don't get it.
Good.
Just don't get it. So weird.
It's you know, it's very much this conversation we've had on the show before, where, you know, it's the nose in the air. Like I send out handwritten cards to all my clients. I haven't sold a policy in 6 months, but I do it all myself.
Yep.
You know, like, it's so hilarious to me. And the people that have that type of mindset, I'm sorry to say, you don't understand what this group is about, and you're never going to hit that target. You're never going to do it.
There's a question here.
As long as you're thinking that way.
There's a question here in the comments I think kind of ties into this for you, Mr. Brindle. You know, hey, brother, when is your book coming out? I believe you have a new book coming out here soon. Maybe you could mention that. That kind of ties into this, doesn't it?
So it does. It does. And it's called the 7-Figure It's called Seven Figure Insurance Agency. It is about this exact topic that we're discussing and how to build an insurance agency, a real business that is doing seven figures, if not multiple seven figures, if not more. I think the principles can scale beyond even those target points that we're talking about here. The book is available right now for pre-order, but only on Kindle. That's the only thing Amazon would allow us to do. The official physical paperback version of the book will be available to order September 8th. So we'll be making a pretty loud announcement about that on September 8th. But yes, September 8th is the first day that you can order the paperback version. And we're going to be down the road looking at, Audible versions and different things like that. But at the moment, it's going to be paperback version and Audible version. You can pre-order the Audible version now, but you have to wait till September 8th to get the paperback version.
Super excited for that to come out. Again, even though there's a lot more content today than there's still, in my opinion, not nearly enough for agents, especially if you're looking to try to build an agency. I think the builder content specific, there's a lot of solo producer content, a lot of sales training content out there, but how do you actually build an agency? I think there's a big hole for that type of content. So I'm super excited for that to get in your guys' hands. So much great information in there. That being said, I want to mention the actual sponsor of today's episode 143 of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast. It is none other than Lead Heroes, your favorite senior insurance lead provider. If you are looking for exclusive call verified double opt-in insurance leads and you're wanting to fill your pipeline, especially right now, we're kind of in this black hole leading up to AEP. A lot of you, I've talked to you on the phone, just talked to an agent last week who's looking to get a bunch of final expense leads leading up to AEP because they're wanting to keep the train rolling. This is a great time to do that with Lead Heroes. We are offering a massive 33% discount in honor of Mr. Brindle's 33rd birthday. You can save thousands of dollars if you order 100 or more of our fixed cost final expense, turning 65 and Medicare supplement leads. So head over to leadheroes.com or check out the link. It'll be in the comments below this live stream in the Seven Figure Medicare Agent Facebook group, and grab your call verified discounted leads today.
Kaboom. Oh, sorry.
Can't say I missed that. I'll say that. Okay, every time you say that, I imagine Cody's somewhere and he's just like, oh, it's like he can just like he just like hears it. It's like a little bell. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
Okay, so shifting gears into the main topic for this episode, right? Pretty big news, all things considered, that kind of a little bit went under the radar, which I found kind of interesting. There was a decision that was made finally after over a year of waiting, really, for some kind of news on this, on the court case that had to do with the stay implemented in the 2024 final rule. Yes. Now, not every aspect of the 2024 final rule was put in a stay status, but several aspects of it were, right? So before I get into the article on this, thought maybe we should do just a very, very quick recap of what kind of went down with that. So for those of you that don't remember, or maybe you're new to this space, maybe you just haven't been paying attention, CMS kind of got into the habit and the routine of unveiling a new final rule every single year under the Biden administration, right? With that current leadership over at CMS. This is pre-Mehmet Oz, who's in the background, if you're watching on the video version. And so every year it was like they were trying to outdo themselves a little bit. Like, how can we be more ridiculous than the year before? It was like a game. They're having slumber parties late at night at Chiquita Brooks LaShore's house, pillow fights and in their jammies and whatnot. And
you know what would really mess these guys up? Tell us, Chiquita, what do you think? What do you
I bet these agents will squirm if we take away if we just how what if we took these things they call FMOs and took them out back and killed them like Old Yeller?
What if we contradicted ourselves like 3 times in the document? So
what
they
if we
don't really
contradicted
know.
ourselves 300 times in the document? So anyway,
man.
last summer they dropped final rule, is what I'm calling it. Final rule, because it's the last real big one that we've had, and it caused shockwaves. More or less, it was designed to get rid of what's known as administrative payments. What's an administrative payment? Overrides, HRA payments, marketing money, all of it kind of was lumped into one pot when it comes to administrative payments. Now, for those of you that know anything about how this industry works, that flips a lot of things on its head.
Yes.
That
it does.
The way it was originally written almost seemed to suggest that it was supposed to be all the insurance agents now are contracted directly with the carriers, and the only support that they get is directly with the carriers, which oftentimes is not much. And the carriers are also not allowed to provide them with any financial support outside of their compensation. But that being said, as Glenn mentioned, the document and the rule had so many contradictions in it, it was unbelievable.
You want a quick throwback here before we get too deep into this?
Sure.
Watch this. You're going to love this. So when this rule dropped, we were actually the original people to first discuss this without a doubt. There's no doubt in my mind.
Because it dropped while we were live. You probably fall under one of these two entities. Even if you don't know it, probably do. So the likelihood of that being a thing for you is probably very small. But like you asked about contracts, right?
This is crazy.
There's a couple different scenarios, I would say. If let's say that did happen, they could release you on the way out as like a courtesy. They could not, and you self-release. Or maybe the carriers do some kind of exception, like a SEP of contracts or something they've never done in the history of contracts before. I don't know. But you can always move with or without a release.
Oh, so we're getting some live information.
See my panic slowly start to set in.
I'm gonna spot check this right now. It sounds like finalizes rule expanding access to care. Yeah, I don't think.
Did you open it?
Contract year 2025 Medicare Advantage and Part D final rule.
It's like I'm reliving it.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is it. Is this it? Did we just get this live?
I'm trying to open it. Hang on, guys.
Did they hang on? Did CMS see us go live? They said this was pre-final. The final rule appears to have just dropped. You guys, if you're watching this live right now, if you're with us, we've been speculating about final rule. The final rule has just dropped minutes
there
ago.
We go. It's like,
I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
1,300.
I couldn't let Christian beat them. It's a virus. Don't click it. No, it appears to be very real.
1,300 pages.
CMS.gov.
Nice.
Wow. How do we do this? Do you want to screen share? Do we read it here? What do you think?
Yeah, let's screen share. Yeah, they.
We'll stop it there. I think that kind of.
This episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast is brought to you by Everything Senior Insurance. Guys, if you're looking for an FMO in 2025 to be a partner with you and really support the overall growth of your business, Everything Senior Insurance is the one-stop shop to allow you to get plugged in with great resources. Whether it's ACA contracts you're looking for, whether it's Medicare contracts you're looking for, whether it's final expense and life contracts that you're looking for, Everything Senior Insurance has got you covered. We provide a free CRM in 7-figure CRM to all of our agents that meet the proper requirements on their contracting and have enough contracts with us. We provide discounted leads with Lead Heroes, discounted virtual assistants with Hire Heroes, and we provide just year-round support to just be there and help you out in your business, as well as fantastic training. Glenn, what do people need to know about Everything Senior Insurance, the FMO?
At Everything Senior Insurance, we've really combined all of our resources to create an FMO that can be a true one-stop shop for a senior insurance agent. Most FMOs have only maybe one resource or even no resources beyond offering that contract. We want to provide value to you as an agent to help you grow your book of business. Or if you want to create an agency, we want to help you grow your agency. And there's so many resources that we have put together to really help you grow your business. So if you are looking for a true partnership, someone that will invest in your business, please reach out to Everything Senior Insurance. We would love to help you grow.
Thanks for listening to this message. And now back to the show.
It's wild to see that, though.
That is crazy to watch back.
Yeah.
I felt the anxiety all over again.
Yeah.
Why
do I have a giant peppermint in my mouth? I'm looking like, what is going on? I have a giant peppermint in my mouth.
So, yes, over 1,300 pages was the document.
Yes.
I best relate it to like different like people translating like religious texts in the Bible, and they have all these different interpretations. You know, every carrier
100%.
has their own interpretation. They're having like, you know, a giant team of lawyers translate this thing. It was just total legal jargon, gobbledygook bullshit.
Yes.
It really was. No one could make heads or tails of what the actual rule was. And it went on for months and months and months leading thereafter, that there was just total chaos and confusion about what things are going to look like. So there were some lawsuits that were made against CMS, basically saying that you can't do this because you don't even know what this rule is supposed to be doing. Like, there's no clarity. How can we follow it when no one knows what it says?
Yep.
And there's not enough time to implement anything because you won't communicate to us. You won't respond to requests for clarification. And that resulted in many aspects of the rule being put on pause in a way. And so just in the last couple of weeks, that court case finally reached a conclusion. And we've been kind of patiently waiting because it does have huge repercussions if it went the other way in terms of what actually it would look like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and we'll go into...
So, and just to kind of put a cap on that, the couple of the big things that it looked like were going to be major changes in the industry. One was the FMO model essentially going away, not being able to have an override on a downline agent. And two, if I remember correctly, marketing money was essentially going to be made illegal, right? Like, you wouldn't be able to pass along marketing funds in like any shape or form. There was some language I thought built in around that. That was a couple of the big things.
In some parts of the rule, it would say that, and then in other parts of the rule, it would suggest that there was exceptions. So, like, again, right, there was contradictions left and right.
Yeah.
So anyway, this article, jumping into it, right? So this is an article on fiercehealthcare.com. It's titled, and it came out August 19th, so about 7 days ago. Judge vacates Medicare Advantage marketing rule provisions. A district court in Texas has ruled against the Department of Health and Human Services, so HHS, which oversees CMS, for those of you that do not know, deciding to vacate several provisions imposed last year implementing how Medicare Advantage plans market products. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, finalized a rule in April 2024 that fixed broker and agent compensation and raised the pay cap for new enrollments. It also eliminated certain contracts between MA plans and third-party marketing organizations, as well as volume-based bonuses. That's another thing. This TPMO thing, third-party marketing organizations,
Yep.
They could not properly define who was a TPMO. They were kind of saying everyone was a TPMO.
Everybody's a TPMO, yeah.
Agents, FMOs, lead companies, etc. Right? So that was another point of just chaos and confusion. The article continues by saying a judge paused enforcement of the provisions last summer. Yesterday, the court said the rule exceeded statutory authority and violated the Administrative Procedures Act, siding with Americans for Beneficiary Choice and broker groups to vacate the provisions. However, the court did uphold a provision requiring banning third-party marketing firms from distributing personal beneficiary data, such as names, addresses, and phone numbers, to other marketing organizations without consent. We'll circle back to that in a second and explain what that means. This provision was supported by Senator Ron Wyden. Of course it was. That I need to do it. I'm gonna do an entire video on that, dude.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, I'm gonna do it in the next 30 days. Okay, we're gonna.
I'm out to Oregon, bro. Let's go meet him. Let's go meet him.
Okay, the CMS regulates compensation. MA plans can pay agents, brokers, and third-party marketing firms. Under the Biden administration, the agency tried capping payments to third-party marketing firms. Industry stakeholders later told the feds its changes could cause agents and brokers to leave their field. You think?
Yeah.
In the decision, the judge cited the overturning of the Chevron deference doctrine, which, if you guys aren't aware of that domino effect of that court case, that's a whole nother podcast of itself. A consequential Supreme Court decision last summer that limits the power of federal agencies to interpret and enforce regulations. In this situation, the CMS can only regulate how compensation is used, not engage in rate making, the judge determined. That's huge. The decision gives some level of certainty to the broker community as to how it can structure operations and upstream and downstream arrangements moving forward, said Helene Fingold, a regulatory attorney at Epstein Becker Green, in a statement to Fierce Healthcare. CMS will be issuing its 2027 MAPD proposed rule in the next several months and may again propose changes to how they regulate administrative payments. The final rule also had implications for health equity, quality bonus payments, supplemental benefits, and biosimilars. So that's basically it. So what does that mean for those of you that are watching, listening? More or less, the judge determined that CMS cannot do what they were trying to do. They were overstepping their line of authority in regulating this space. Now, one piece of this that is still allowed to pass is the one-to-one consent aspect of it. So talk about that a little bit. Like, what is the one-to-one consent piece of this, and what does that mean for agents, leads, and everything like that?
To give you guys a timeline on this too, to kind of better understand. So the video we showed earlier where we were breaking final rule as this rule originally dropped, that was April 4th, 2024. So that was about 16 months ago. Then the stay gets placed. I want to say it was July.
Yeah.
I think it was late. Yeah.
I was traveling for July 4th weekend.
Yeah.
Somewhere. I think I was going to Jackson Hole.
I mean, with Jackson Hole.
Yeah. And I remember hearing about it then. So yeah, it was basically July 4th, like the day before, the day after, something like that.
Yeah, I think I remember making jokes about freedom. So that sounds about right. So July, the stay gets placed. Then originally we're thinking we'll hear around April or March of 2025 this year. We're thinking we're going to hear back about this. We don't. We talked about it previous episodes, expecting to hear back. And then we just finally hear back a few weeks ago. The other thing that's completely separate to this that's been happening is the FCC passed their one-to-one consent rules. So the FCC was planning on having their one-to-one consent for all industries, for all marketers, where it had to be the person that opts in is also the person that's working the lead. The company that's selling the service, they know exactly who they're opting in for. That gets vacated at the 12th hour in January of this year.
Literally
Friday, 5:00. It's supposed to go into effect Monday. It gets vacated. So there's been a lot of this, compliance and legislation that you think it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen. So the part of this, and I mentioned this last week when I was talking to Dalton about it, is like, I'm not against a senior knowing who they're going to be working with. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think the most dangerous part about this is just the misinformation that most likely agents are going to get because of this part of the rule. Just like we've talked about with compliance officers spouting things that just aren't true. I talked to a major compliance officer in the past couple of months who tried to tell me that the one-to-one FCC rule actually passed in January. And I said, no, it did not. It got vacated. I'm like, look it up. I'm like, you don't need to take my word for it. Look it up. That got vacated in January. So it's honestly as simple as, in a lot of ways, like capturing a scope of appointment, right? You just have to have your information consented to before you're working with them. So again, as lead heroes, as an example, when it comes to Medicare Advantage or anything Part D related, we just have to make sure that we're capturing that verbal one-to-one consent. Hey, Mrs. Jones, I have Christian Brindle with Everything Senior Insurance. He's going to be the one talking to you here in a minute. Boom. Then we live transfer it, or if it's a preset appointment, or if it's a callback lead, whatever it is. And then we capture that consent. That can be done in writing. That can be done verbally. Either way, as long as you have that, you're safe, you're protected. So that's the piece that has hung around, which I'm a little surprised by, again, because my interpretation when the FCC rule got vacated, I thought they were going to toss that too. But it looks like they did. They kept that piece in.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things where I'm wondering, the other part of this article that I thought was kind of interesting is like the attorney that represented the agents and the FMOs in this whole thing made a statement that they might be revisiting some of these things in a proposed rule change for 2027.
Yeah, I saw that at the end there, which I'm like, why are we talking about 2027? Can we just get through this AEP? Can we not talk about 2027?
Which, that what that tells me is like they lose this court case, they get punched in the mouth, and then they're just like, all right, let's run it back. Let's do it again. Which hopefully some leadership changes within CMS kind of just look at this and they're like, this isn't a good idea. Look at all the resources and taxpayer dollars we've wasted trying to push this through. Yeah. And it was just this catastrophe. Even the courts agreed. Hopefully that isn't the case, but I guess we'll see. We are getting pretty close to, historically November, December timeframe is when CMS will roll out their proposals for the next year. And their proposal last year, after AEP in 2024, they put out a proposal about changing the definition of communication into marketing.
Yep.
Which, for those of you that aren't aware of that, right? Communication does not need CMS approval or carrier approval. It doesn't need an SMID code. Its communication is non-carrier or non-benefit specific outreach, right? Whether you're posting something on social media, making a video, posting something on YouTube, sending out a mailer, anything that's technically deemed as communication doesn't fall under the same line of regulation. You don't need disclaimers, anything like that.
Yep.
Anything that does mention any of those things, though, requires an CMS approval, SMID code, disclaimers, all of that stuff. Well, essentially what the proposal was going to be was taking away communication. Like, it's gone. Anything that mentions anything that could result in a Medicare Advantage sale, the word Medicare in a sense, would require CMS approval, which is batshit crazy.
Yes. Now, one thing to keep in mind with that, though, is that was before the CMS administration turned over.
Yes, true.
That was
Absolutely.
prior to our Lord and Savior, Dr. Oz, coming in and taking over. So I feel a lot better with Mehmet being in power about what these proposals will look like. I'm also super grateful for the judicial system and checking CMS power, regardless of who's in charge at CMS, because that's a revolving door. Whether we love Mehmet or Mehmet turns out to be a monster, whatever, like there'll be somebody else in 4 years potentially, right?
Most likely,
yeah. So it's like this person's going to keep changing. So we need CMS to be able to be checked in case any other insanity comes down the pipe. And it's very possible. It's very possible. But I feel good about where things are at right now. I genuinely do.
We mentioned, and the article mentioned it, that Chevron ruling last year.
Yes.
That plays a big part in a lot of this. For those of you that don't know, that was a lawsuit that happened kind of just before, if I remember correctly, final rule dropped last year, which the long and short of it is it ruled that government agencies are not allowed, mostly 3-letter word agencies, deep state agencies. These types of agencies are not allowed to interpret and define law when it's unclear.
They're not legislators.
Yes.
They shouldn't be able to pass law, right? It's a fine line between creating rules and creating structure for your agency and essentially legislating new laws. And that's where the judicial system comes in, right? It's like, so I think that was a huge win to have the Chevron rule. And I think wasn't that part of the filing when the stay got filed? Wasn't that mentioned?
I believe it was.
Yeah,
I believe it was.
Yeah.
And so that's a big part of it, right? And like, whether you guys realize it or not, HHS, which oversees CMS, and CMS, they're both 3-letter agencies. They're both deep state agencies.
We're about to spiral. I can feel it. We're on the edge of a cliff right now.
But it's not just the FBI, the CIA, those types of organizations that ruling affected. It affected CMS as well, HHS as well.
Correct.
And so that ruling could not have been more timely in an argument being there for us to be able to, as agents and brokers, to be able to fight this and be able to make an argument that you're stepping over the line of what your authority is as a 3-letter agency.
Yes. ATF, NSA. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yes.
I think that, our goal here too on the 7 Figures or Bust podcast, you guys, we want to keep you as informed as possible. We want you to be able to come here and we can kind of give you, sometimes it's speculation, admittedly, sometimes we don't know what's going to come. But
we've been accused of speculating once or twice.
We have.
Over the years.
But at the same time, we also want to try to synthesize this information to the best of our ability. So that way you guys get an understanding of, what is this? What's going on? Whether that's the final rule or rules being retracted, like we just saw with this, definitely stay tuned. We'll be here and we'll provide as much clarity and insight as we can as we continue.
I know we're getting close to the mark of the show. I think it's probably a good time to move into final thoughts. I'll go first. Guys, my final thoughts are, when this was happening, it might feel like a long time ago, but it really wasn't. We're probably talking about 12 to 14 months ago that we were kind of in the fire of everything.
Yep.
When in regards to this final rule. Many of you were freaking out. Many of you were just losing your shit.
My FMO just shut the doors. It's been 12 hours. It's been 12
It wasn't even that. It was like 3 hours. It was like 3 or 4 hours. It was the
Like,
same
what?
day we did that stream.
Yeah, we were still not even sure what's in this document. Like, my FMO just closed.
Shut their doors.
It's like, what? I remember seeing the post. I saw the post, like, what's going on? Like, what
That
is
dude is such an idiot. I'm sorry. Oh, I wish I took a screenshot of that. I would text it to him every day until he dies.
Oh
We'll be 70. I'll be like, good morning.
Set up an automation.
Keep changing the sub account, the phone numbers, everything. But no, I say that to say, guys, there are so many times, and I'm not saying that I'm not victim to this at times, to where things seem like the sky is falling. Glenn uses the Chicken Little analogy often.
Yes.
And so many of you are just like, what are we going to do? We're so doomed. We're so done. And then something happens. I mean, shout out to the organizations as well. There were several organizations that were involved in this lawsuit that really stood up for us as agents and brokers. I know Senior Security Benefits was very involved. AmeriLife was very involved. So, we really appreciate, as a broker community, them standing up for all of us, because for anybody that said that this was going to be a good thing for the individual agent, they're out of their mind. They're really out of their mind.
Yeah.
And there were some people saying that. So I found it very interesting. I know it's probably wavered from the public attention span since it's been so far removed, but this was still kind of a looming cloud, and it's nice to put a cap on it.
I could be more excited to see this come to fruition. It was this weird purgatory we got stuck in for such a long time, but sometimes things happen and you lose faith in the system. So to see the system work and to see that power check is reassuring to me for the future. So again, I guess to really summarize my final thoughts here, we've been on this roller coaster. I mentioned the timeline of these different rules and these different possibilities. There's been so much uncertainty, but throughout the whole thing, Christian and I really tried to remain, forward as far as this is how we're going to move forward. If this is the case, this is how we're going to do it. If this is the case, this is how we're going to do it. There was never a moment where we were like, time to close our doors. So I think there's a lot to be said about remaining positive, staying calm, being optimistic, finding others in the industry, in the community who can maybe help explain things. Shout out to the 7-Figure Medicare Agent Facebook group. So that's really my final thoughts. Great episode though, and I think a timely one as well.
Agreed. Appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. It's great to be back. Excited for another show tomorrow and a great week of shows ahead. So make sure that you don't miss one. Whatever platform you might be listening to today's episode on, whether it be live or whether it be on a replay, whether it be video, whether it be audio, make sure to give us a like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. Whatever the platform of your choice allows you to do to support us, we certainly appreciate the support. And we'll be back with you guys next time with another jam-packed episode. Here's to your massive success. Thanks, everybody.